I was competing against 2,000 salespeople. Salespeople from all over the world, from the UK, France, Sydney, Canada, the US, everywhere, right? And here I was, the guy who sweated through a suit, and I actually went on to win this particular competition. And it was called the Pitch Olympics. And I'm going to go into how I won it shortly. But if you're new here, my name is Gary, and I help ambitious professionals regain clarity, confidence, and direction in their life. Now, I entered the Pitch Olympics, which was a competition in the corporate world that I worked in, and there was 2,000 people globally. And everyone was asked, like, do you want to enter this? And some people actually didn't put up their hand, strangely enough. But I decided, you know what? Even if I'm not ready, and I had been practicing, right? I've been going to Toastmasters, which I talk about in another video, to improve my public speaking. But there's nothing like a competition, right? Like you can sort of train for a race, but unless you actually race the race, sometimes it's not as fun. There's something about a competition, it sort of edges you on. So I said yes. And this was all done remotely, and this was actually during COVID. So there'd been previous iterations of this, and I actually did quite well. And those that was in person, but this was on the video, and you had to look the part and you had to know your stuff, right? And you had 5 minutes in this pitching competition, and you firstly started off in your territory, which at the time was UK and Ireland. Then you would compete against the winners of, say, the French and the Spanish teams, so on and so forth, until you got to the final, which there was 4 people, and you were up against someone from the US, someone from Australasia, all of those different places, right? And it was intense. It really was intense. And you got 3 scenarios. They would spin a wheel, and you would get the scenario on the spot of what you had to pitch, right? You knew the scenarios beforehand, you just didn't know which one. So I knew I needed to be really, really prepared for this. So I would actually write out the scripts that I was going to talk about. And I decided I needed structure. Whoever was going to win this competition had to have structure, okay? So it needed a beginning, a middle, and an end. I knew that I would need to summarize the scenario. So I would repeat back what the scenario was, almost as if I was pitching to a really big audience or a particular customer. And then I would use what Neville, who was my mentor in New Zealand, would say when he said beginning, middle, and an end. He would say, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you've just told them. He said, you've got to tell a story. And I love that. And I would use the power of 3, which was really, I think, goes back to Aristotle times. So I would tell them, I'm going to talk about these 3 things. Okay, here's these 3 things. And then we talked about this, we talked about this, and we talked about that. So it was very clear. And at the end of all of my presentations, I would have a simple call to action, which could be, hey, let's have a meeting on Wednesday, let's book it in. Or it could have been, hey, let's do a trial of this particular product, as long as there was a next step. And I needed to make sure that I finished on time. I didn't want to go over the 5 minutes because I knew I'd be penalized. So all of this I was preparing. I wasn't going to leave anything to chance, because I was always used to, maybe in football teams, like I get to the final or I get to the semi-final and I'd fall just short. But this time that wasn't going to happen. I really loved these products. I was passionate about them. So therefore I thought, why can't I win this? Like, for the first time, why can't I be the person who actually wins the competition? Now I needed to prepare well. So sometimes I'd sacrifice the weekends to practice. And it was practice makes progress, right? Because I would literally read out my scripts. I would hit record, just like I'm doing now. I would look into the screen and I would start talking. And with each mistake that I made, I'd press stop, start again. And then I'd do the same thing in front of my family and friends, those who sort of I trusted, and I would literally pitch to them, and they would give me some of their constructive criticism, should we put it, and I'd make sure that I had fun with it. I would learn this thing off so well that it wasn't even robotic. It was actually just like second nature. So I could literally like open the fridge in the middle of the night, the light comes on and I'm starting to pitch. Or even if I'm out in the street, I would literally be sort of talking to myself through what I was going to say, even when I was running, as an example. So I was always practicing. And then in some of these scenarios, which once again, you didn't know which one was going to come up, some of them were maybe technical led. So I needed to speak to the expert in that field, whether it be AI, whether it be security. And I would have the humbleness to go to those people and say, look, I'm sort of going to be pitching this particular product. I'd love your feedback on what I could use in this. So it got me actually talking to more people in the organization as well. So there's so many benefits to putting up your hand and saying yes to a public speaking competition within your work. And it can really get you noticed as well. It can get you exposure. So when I actually did go into these competitions, everything was second nature. Everything was second nature. The pitches, and I kept qualifying. Got to the final. This was in, I think it was June 2020. So it was the height of COVID. The CEO of the company was announced to be the judge in the final. Now, this is a CEO who looks after 80,000 employees worldwide. We were in acquisition, so there was 2,000 of us. This guy looks after 80,000 employees, as well as other executives, right, that were really high up in the company. So the pressure was on, but I didn't feel the pressure. I actually really excelled during this. And I think I almost went into a flow state that I didn't even know where I was because I was just so used to pitching these things. So when they said go, I was off. And my timing was immaculate because I'd practiced it so many times. And the other thing that I did really well, I feel, and maybe if you're using sort of your collaboration tools, remote video, all that good stuff, is to stand up. So I had a roll-up desk. I'm sitting down now because I'm a little bit lazier as I get older. I'm turning 40 soon. I would actually stand, and that gave me what I would say like executive presence. It made me even more powerful and feel more powerful, and I could vocalize things a bit better. And you could see my hands sort of going all over the place, which can be a good thing sometimes, but you don't want to do it overly do it, should I say. And I really feel like that set me apart. When my name was announced as the winner, I was, just so happy. It was an amazing feeling to go from the guy who really did sweat into his shirts and have to change after meetings or public speaking competitions in university to actually winning this, and not only winning it once, but then coming back the second time and winning it again. So it was a really, really good feeling. So, like I said, prepare, practice, have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you've just told them. Put your energy into it. Say yes to opportunities. And once again, enjoy the experience as well. Like, talk to other people in your business. And if you get nothing out of this, it is just to prepare and to be passionate about the topics that you're speaking about. And you don't need to know it all. You just need to be ready and put up your hand. Say yes. Hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you in the next one.